Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Strong and the Geek podcast, where we talk movies, TV, video games, and comic books. I, like always, am your host, Ben Ramirez, and with me here today is my special guest co-host, not Samuel L. Jackson.
There are no snakes on any planes. It's good to be back.
And no one is fucking their mothers.
Oh yeah. It feels good to be back after our bye week.
We decided to take a little bye week off. I know you were busy, very busy last weekend.
I've been very busy the past week doing all sorts of crazy things.
And I've been doing lame, house renovation stuff. So we've been really caught up. But we wanted to get back to you, the fans, with our next 5th week top 5.
Woohoo!
As well as get into some of the cool stuff. We have some reviews coming up. And I think we should get right into it. Tell us.
Jump right in. All right, so...
Not Sam.
All right, so let's get started. First things first. I had the opportunity since over the bye week to see Snowden. So obviously, the Joseph Gordon-Levitt starring film about Edward Snowden, and it takes the movie basically tells Snowden's life from when he was attempting to be, I think, in the Army or Air Force or something. Excuse me. All the way until obviously what happens at the NSA, and then the movie ends basically with him getting out and getting to Russia, and that's kind of the end.
Okay.
JGL nailed it. There were times where when he does the voice and talking where I was like, that sounds exactly like Edward Snowden.
Yeah.
For someone who Citizen4, the documentary, I actually where Snowden leaked the information, or he didn't leak it, he gave it away. But,
yeah.
He wasn't on there saying like, hey, this, and this. He was saying like, these reporters have this information, do with it what they will.
Right.
I saw that, so I was able to appreciate then even more the movie. I watched the documentary after I saw Snowden, but yeah, the movie was really good. It had a good, obviously any biographical pick really gets you into just thoroughly invested in the person's life, and I can't think of one scene where JGL isn't on screen.
Okay.
Throughout the whole film.
Well, it is Snowden.
But sometimes they have movies about whoever where there's other subplots or other things that are going on.
Of course.
This one, I think Snowden is in every single scene.
Okay. Was there a strong supporting cast? I'm actually not too familiar with the cast of the film.
So, Shailene Woodley from the Insurgent series.
Yeah.
She plays Snowden's girlfriend. She did a really, really great job. I was impressed because those Insurgent movies, Divergent or whatever, they were nothing.
I didn't even see them.
Yeah, they were whatever. But I thought she really showed her acting chops in this one and did pretty well. I don't recall who the actor who played the villain per se, Snowden's mentor at the CIA.
Okay.
I don't remember. I'm not familiar with who that actor is, but I will say he was the only part of the movie that I found to be kind of a weakest link, just because he did a great job playing a professional secret agent, but just you knew from the first time he was on screen, oh, this is the bad guy.
Yeah.
And how he acted was it's the bad guy. And there's one scene near the end, just before Snowden decides to give out the information and he steals it and everything. He's in a room and the whole wall is a screen.
Was it Zachary Quinto? Glenn?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. This is an older dude. Anyway, Zachary Quinto plays one of the reporters.
Was it Robert Firth who played Dr. Stillwell? I have IMDb open up
I don't know. I couldn't tell you his name. I didn't know the actor's name.
Fair
but
enough.
The whole back is a screen, and it projects his face and like a video conference call with Snowden.
Uh-huh.
But he's literally the whole wall, and he's basically telling Snowden oh, well, what about that pretty little girlfriend of yours? What about what she's doing right now? We know, blah blah blah. Basically saying we have been watching you
He's
guys.
being trademarked skeezy,
but
CIA
and here's the
guy.
thing, I'm assuming that really happened, but just how the scene was shot, it felt like Darth Vader talking to the Emperor.
Okay.
It was really oh man, you are. If no one missed the point that you're the bad guy, now that you definitely are the bad guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for a lot of people who don't know anything about really Edward Snowden, or for whatever reason don't know about the NSA and the CIA, and what their wiretapping and that kind of stuff, I would definitely recommend watching it. I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay, very
good. And I even for people who are, I mean, it obviously sends its own message in terms of its side of the things. If you're someone who's going in thinking, well, Snowden's a traitor, and a thief, and I think that if he comes back to the United States, we should prosecute him to the full extent of the law and all that kind of stuff, you're not going to like it.
Right.
This is more on the
It's supposed to humanize
Snowden's
him.
a whistleblower and didn't sell, but it does tell the truth. A lot of people think that he sold the information, or that he sold national security information,
Yeah.
or that he's the WikiLeaks guy who's Julian Assange, who's not a good person. But Snowden
Right.
genuinely is, at least whether you agree with what he did or not, this movie does show, and it has parts of at the end of actually him too, not JGL. It just shows that no, he legitimately did what he thought was in the best interest of the United States and its people.
Didn't Benedict Cumberbatch play Julian Assange in a movie?
Yeah.
Now we're getting all of the all of the spy movies.
Yeah, Julian Assange, I mean, that's just a whole other side to it. And I mean,
Yeah.
I'm sure there's, I actually didn't see the Benedict Cumberbatch film.
Neither did I.
I just know WikiLeaks has sometimes dabbled into the buying secrets of and things like that,
Right.
as opposed to like doing something in the best interest of people.
Well, I, for one, hope that history will see him as a hero of civil rights and whatnot.
I mean, to be fair, because of it, since then, the NSA's telephone program has been ruled illegal by Congress, and so there's like some things that are then Supreme Court, like there are things that are starting to happen.
Yeah, and I do hope that our government can take a look at the idea of a whistleblower not being someone who's a traitor, because they're not selling secrets to foreign nationals. They're just trying to give to the U.S. public something that they think the U.S. public has the right to know.
Right, and prosecuting, this is the last little thing, because but like prosecuting Snowden right now would be under the Espionage Act, which is from World War One, where loose lips sink ships, and that was like a big issue, like because there was a lot of people, with European background families over there, and they would give their families the secrets or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's outdated, because we live in the world of the internet. I can tweet something and anybody in the world could see it.
Yeah.
But two, that was done out of malice. This was done out of really thinking of citizens' best interests.
Yeah. Similar to Chelsea Manning, who has also been in prison for similar, revealing of government secrets, not for any kind of personal gain, but for what she viewed as the public's best interest.
Right.
And,
but anyway,
free Chelsea.
Anyway. No, it's also just an entertaining movie.
Yeah. So, speaking of 8 out of 10s, I saw The Magnificent Seven, and I think the 7 got an 8.
Oh, nice. Well, let's hear about it.
I know a lot of people going into it were like, another remake, and a remake of a classic, which is a remake of a classic. It's going to be garbage. But I actually went into it thinking, well, Chris Pratt, Denzel, they got a solid cast going on. Let's see what's happening.
And they have great source material.
Yes, definitely great source material. And you know what? I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought that the humor in it was very nuanced, and there were a lot of really funny moments in the movie, but it didn't break from, the characters that were funny were the funny guys. And the characters that weren't the comedic characters, like Chris Pratt, he's the hustler who's always doing magic card tricks, but secretly he's a rogue, and he's got he's quick-witted, he's got a sharp tongue. But some of the other characters that were more serious, like Denzel's character, they themselves had a couple moments of levity, playing straight man to the more comical characters, which is the best way to set up comedy when you have an ensemble cast like that. There were a lot of moments that in the movie where you're like, well, what? For instance, when they meet the Native American Red Harvest, who is a member of the team, he basically just shows up, and Denzel talks to him in his native tongue for a minute, talks about how he's going to go fight wicked men, and then he turns around and he's like, all right, he's with us. It's like, well, what? What's his inspiration to help out?
Gotcha. And they don't really give any more after that?
No, the only explanation that character gives is that he has been sent away from his tribe, and that he's looking, I think, to prove himself, I guess, is if you read between the lines, and so he's going to go fight for virtue. There were a lot of great moments, though. For instance, one of the characters is he was actually the actor that played Wilson Fisk in the Daredevil series. Very big guy, although this time he's got a beard and full head of hair, so he looks very different than the Kingpin. And he's wearing a bunch of furs, and he's got a cap with a foxtail hanging off the back of it. He's a hunter living out in the wilderness, and his backstory, apparently, as they kind of just tell it in a quick couple lines, is that he used to be a scalp hunter. They would go after Native Americans, but now he's reformed, and he kind of lost his family, and he's trying to put his life right. He's more religious and philosophical. But when you first find him, they come across his house being robbed by these two bandits, and the guy shows up and just murders the shit out of the bandits with a hatchet. And then he turns and he's saying to them, you saw them, they were trying to take my property, I have the right to defend my property and my home, this is fine. And they're like, hey, why don't you come help us out? And he's like, it's not for me. He starts walking off, and it's a really tense moment, and then Chris Pratt just goes, I believe that bear was wearing people clothes.
Oh, yeah.
It completely breaks the tension of the scene. So there were a lot of moments like that. Of course, great gunfight action. For the majority of the movie, I was thinking to myself, are they immune to bullets? Because there seem to be bullets whizzing past them all the time, and they're hitting a bunch of the townsfolk, but your main 7 must have invisible shields. But when all's said and done, 4 out of the 7 are dead, so they actually don't pull any punches on that front. Even... Spoiler alert, Chris Pratt, who you'd think would be one of the guys that would survive at the end, he gives a heroic self-sacrifice to destroy the Gatling gun that's mowing down the town. All in all, I was really impressed with it, and I might go watch it again.
Nice.
Before it leaves the theaters. So like I said, I give it an 8 out of 10.
Cool, sounds good. So, really quick, last thing for me to review is I had the opportunity to go see Kanye West in concert and on Friday, and I must say, Kanye's concert was incredible.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, 10 out of 10.
Wow.
He, just so many hits, hit after hit after hit, which are fantastic. He played a lot from the new album, The Life of Pablo, which we previously reviewed on the show. And actually, since then, I would improve my review of it. I actually like it a lot more now.
Okay.
But he also played a lot of older things from throughout his extensive catalog of music. His stage, so it's suspended on some wires, and it floats above the crowd.
Ooh, cool.
And sometimes he'll sit and hang off the side of it, so he's really looks like he's just talking straight to the people. He didn't go on any rants or do anything crazy or
any Kanye-isms.
No, he's played great music and just really, it was almost a gift to the fans.
Did he ever refer to himself as a god?
No.
Huh.
No. I mean, except for maybe in
the song where he says, I'm a god.
Well, no, he didn't play that. He didn't play I'm a god. No, I'm saying in any kind of lyric about, this is a god dream on, Ultralight Beam, but that song is really gospel heavy, and it actually closed with it. And it's crazy, at the end, the lights get really, really crazy and a lot of fog and stuff, and he just, disappears.
Wow.
It's how did he get off the floating stage? Where'd he go?
I like to think that's how Kanye enters and exits every room. There's just a cloud of smoke, and then he's there.
For this concert, that's exactly what happens.
He's like Batman.
Because the platform lowers to the ground, and it just gets so foggy you can't see anything, and then you just hear a noise because it's rising, and then boom, he's there. It's crazy. But yeah, the concert was awesome. And I will say, we were not in general admission, so we were in the stands. But the people who he actually floats over in general admission, it is just the craziest dance party I've ever seen at a concert.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. When you're not, it's fun to also see because it moves all throughout the floor over people. Where it's going, you just see a swarm of people, like a school of fish trying to swim to follow it. But then there's the people who are underneath it when it's floating over them who just don't care. They're just basically almost a mosh pit. But it was pretty great.
That's awesome. So 10 out of 10 for Kanye.
Oh, yeah. So good.
Very cool. Well, in a weird mirror position, speaking of 10 out of 10, I got a chance to check out Luke Cage. I just finished the series this morning, and that was amazing. So far, Netflix has knocked all of the Marvel series out of the park, and this one is probably the best yet.
Oh, wow.
It is a kind of got that 70s blaxploitation movie sort of vibe to it, with the music throughout and some of the way they talk, because the Luke Cage comic books were very thick with 70s black like jive talk lingo, and this, while trying to make it modern because it does take place nowadays, they still try to insert some of that in there, which at times almost takes you out of it because you're like, well, people don't say things like that, but then you're like, well, these are not young black guys, these are black guys that would have been kids in the 70s,
right?
So maybe some of that lingo stuck around.
Some of the lingo's cool, man. Bring it back.
Now that being said, the show is fantastic. They really stuck true to what makes Luke Cage who he is and his backstory. I was afraid they were going to change his origin story because it starts off with a black guy in jail and going through government experiments and stuff, and that seems like it would be a tough issue right now, especially with the climate that we're in. But they pulled no punches. They even dealt with like police brutality, and all in all, at the end of the day, the show had a really good positive message, which was literally said in the final episode that most of these guys are running around in spandex. It's good to see that a black guy in a hoodie can be a superhero. And I was like, yeah, you know what? This is inspirational. I loved it. The music was fantastic. They actually brought Method Man in.
Oh.
He played himself. Luke Cage saves him as he's in a convenience store that's getting robbed, and then he goes on to a radio show and freestyles a rap about Luke Cage, the hero for hire.
That's pretty cool.
Fantastic. It also set up a lot of really cool stuff for what's possibly going on in the next season, or what will carry over into the Defenders, I suppose, because I imagine we'll get Defenders before we get a Luke Cage season 2. So just knocked it out of the park. Fantastic.
Any cameos from any other Marvel characters?
Just mentions. They talked about how he's the Black Captain America. They made a couple mentions to Thor. Someone saying, one of the cops is like, we're living in weird times. Unless my sidearm can turn into a magic hammer, I'm no use anymore.
Right.
So it's really deals with like what street level people are like in a world where there are superheroes.
Right.
Which I think is really cool. They keep referring to what happened in the first Avengers movie as the incident. And one of the points is that Luke Cage can't be hurt, but they developed this bullet that's called the Judas that is made from Chitauri technology, and it can hit him. And not only does it hit him, but once it goes inside him, it explodes.
Ouch.
So that becomes like a plot point. Justin Hammer, which is another tie-in. Justin Hammer was the guy making all the robots in Iron Man 2. He's, like a Stark competitor. And they keep talking about Hammer Tech. There's like new weapons on the street, and they're from Justin Hammer and stuff like that. So very cool. They did play around with Diamondback's backstory just a hair. Diamondback is like the villain. Now, the original story is the same. He set him up to go to prison in the first place.
Right.
Because he was jealous of him. Now, in the original story, it's kind of over a girl. In this case, it turns out that Diamondback was actually his half-brother. And Luke Cage is the son of a preacher. And the preacher, 2 years before Luke Cage was born, had an affair with his secretary and had a bastard son that he kind of disowned, and it was kept secret from the church that it was his son.
Okay.
So even though they grew up together, there was one that was always shunned and one that was the son. And when they were they grew up together just fine, despite that. Except when they were teenagers, they stole a car, and they got caught, and the preacher talked to the judge and said, hey, instead of sending him to juvie, let's send him into the Marine Corps. Let's let him do something with his life. So he got to go to the Marine Corps, whereas Diamondback ended up going into juvie.
Gotcha.
And while he was in juvie, he had accidentally killed a kid, so then he went from juvie into the prison system. So they grew up on very different paths. And the thing I like about that is that it made his character so much crazier, because these are grown men now, and he's still like, why did dad love you more? And that's his entire inspiration for his whole life, is just to hurt him because he didn't feel loved as a kid.
Gotcha.
and it makes him seem psychotic, but also compelling, more so than like, oh, she loved me, you
Right.
know. So I was really happy with the whole series,
Hmm.
and I would advise anyone out there to check it out.
Very good.
If nothing else, for the soundtrack, because it was fantastic.
So anything that's 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10 for me.
Very cool.
Now, before we get into other stuff, I do want to quickly mention the first presidential debate happened.
It did.
Which, we're not a political podcast.
A pee-pee.
I imagine most people...
We're not pee-pee.
We're not made out of pee-pee.
No pee-pee.
No, pee-pee! I imagine most people probably watched it. I know I did. I assume you probably did.
It had a pretty enormous audience.
I think 84 million?
Yeah.
And that's only counting like networks. I watched it online, and I imagine there's probably another 100 million that watched it online. I mean, whoever you're voting for is your business. The scientific poll said Hillary won. The silly online polls like Drudge Report and whatnot said that Trump won. But that being said, I don't want to talk about the debate itself. What I do want to talk about is Saturday Night Live's opening sketch to start their 41st season, which was the presidential debate between Kate McKinnon and Alec Baldwin as
Alec Baldwin's new
Hillary
Donald
Clinton
Trump.
and Donald Trump. Did you watch it?
I did not.
Oh, it was really, really funny. Kate McKinnon comes onto the stage. Sorry if you guys can hear the cricket. He's back.
Jiminy, our special guest.
Yeah, he loves to hang out down here in the studio, and I cannot find him.
No, Jiminy. All right, keep going.
In any case, Kate McKinnon comes on stage, and first they have Michael Che as, not Matt Lauer. Lester Holt.
Lester Holt, yeah.
Michael Che is Lester Holt, and Michael Che says, first, bring up to the stage, surrounded by controversy concerning her health and coming off of having pneumonia, it's Secretary Hillary Clinton. And she comes out with a cane and, like, kind of hobbling and coughing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, is this an homage to Willy Wonka? And sure enough, she sticks the cane in the ground, and she does the tumble and pops up. She goes, just kidding, I'm feeling great. And I was like, oh, what a perfect way to start that.
There you go.
And a shout out to Gene Wilder, who recently passed. That was great. And then, of course, Alec Baldwin is fantastic in everything he does.
Yeah.
So his Donald Trump was really good. And they just went back and forth and back and forth. There were a couple moments where, like, Kate McKinnon was like, actually, I'd like to give him my 2-minute rebuttal and just let him continue to talk, because as he talks, my poll numbers go up.
Right.
So I want to give out a shout out to Saturday Night Live for having one of the best opening sketches I've ever seen.
Nice. Very good. My final shout out before we move on to our Geek of the Week would be, I got the opportunity also this week to meet and see Mockingbird. They are they're from Lebanon, so local to around our area, Central PA.
Not Lebanon.
Lebanon County.
In the Middle East.
Yeah, no, not that far. Well, they're an acoustic duo. They do some of their own stuff. They also do a lot of covers of pop, country, some rock, lots of stuff. They were really good. It's Brian and Katrina. They're a guy and girl duo, man and woman. Some people, I found that some people, if you say guy and girl, they find that is not.
Oh, because girl implies like a child?
No, to me, little girl implies a child. Yeah, but
a man and a woman.
Yeah, man and woman.
He and she.
Anyway, they were, but they were both really cool. They were very good. His playing, so he's playing the guitar and she's singing, but he does sometimes like backup vocals and stuff. Her voice is really good. His guitar playing was really great. They, interestingly enough, after playing their first couple songs in their set, then they asked for things from the cricket made me laugh. But they were taking some things from the crowd, some requests. And just jokingly, I was like, Freebird, because that's the concert thing. And interestingly enough, they're like, oh, okay, we'll do Freebird. Well, they wrote their own song called Freebird for when people do that, to play in response to them. And it was a great song. It was really cool. And afterwards, in between their intermission, I went to that. I was like, guys, that was awesome. Like, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen.
That's good.
So I told them about the Strong and the Geek and told them I'd give them a shout out. So, hey, guys, you were great. Perhaps our paths will cross again sometime in the area.
That's awesome. Well, I think it's time we get to our Geek of the Week.
Pow, pow, pow.
Geek of
Pow,
the
pow.
week. Geek of the week. Geek of the week. Geek of the week.
That's Jiminy.
All right. So, for our Geek of the Week this week,
What the hell just happened?
I don't know. We were writing a song.
Yeah, that's true.
We called it Freebird.
Yeah.
Okay. So, for Geek of the Week this
Tell
week,
us who it is.
a man known only as Jordan.
Okay.
Jordan. Hey, hooray, Jordan. Also, not the country in the Middle East.
Oh, yeah. What are the odds of that?
He's actually a man in Australia.
He's Australian.
Uh,
G'day.
yeah, you want to do the whole thing like this, mate?
No.
So, Jordan
The
does
Australian.
not want to be known by his full name because the reason he's in the news. For the second time this year, he's been bitten by a spider.
Okay.
Now, that doesn't sound like a lot.
What kind of spider?
Until you learn that he was bitten. I'm not exactly sure what type of spider it was. The redback spider, which is the Aussie cousin of the infamous Black Widow.
Oh, dear. So he was bitten by a redback spider. What happened?
The redback spider bit him on the penis. And this is the second time he's been bitten by a poisonous spider on the penis this year.
Wait a minute. Okay. So he had a deadly poisonous spider bit him in the penis?
Yes.
Twice?
Twice this year.
He's for the lottery.
And let me tell you, this is the quote. I was sitting on the toilet doing my business and just felt the sting that I felt the first time. I was like, I can't believe it's happened again. I looked down and I've seen a few little legs come from around the rim. You know what? By the way, this is one of my nightmares. I always lift the rim and flush the toilet before I sit down on it because I'm afraid that some kind of bug is going to crawl out.
Yeah, now you're going to be even more worried about it.
Like, this is something that I already did. Now I'm going to flush twice.
So, Jordan, we feel really bad for you, but come on, dude.
Well, my
man.
thing is like, okay, so he was sitting on the crapper and he came out. When I first read the headline, I was like, this guy's got to stop sticking his dick in spider nests.
Spider nests, yeah.
Like, how does that happen? And why did the spider hone in on his dick? It had to crawl under his leg, across his taint and balls. It went for his dick.
You know what would be the most, like, if it was the same spider. If it was the exact same spider from the first time. Like, because it doesn't say he killed the spider.
Oh, yeah, I didn't see that.
Like, he let it get away. Like, that's the problem. The infamous, actually, is the Geek of the Week Jordan or the dick-biting spider?
Ooh, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I have some more quotes here that are hilarious. Okay, so first of all, adding insult to the, that's from the Huffington Post. Adding insult to obvious injury, the new spider bite was, quote, in pretty much the same spot as the last one.
Dude, it was the same spider.
Same spider. It says, I'm sorry, this is really funny. They did some research, like some scientists did some research, and the odds of being bitten by a spider on the penis twice in a lifetime is 1 in 100 million.
Oh my god.
In 1 year, that's got to be astronomical.
Yeah. It's exponentially higher.
So then when he was being interviewed, the host actually just put it to him point blank, and this is a quote. What do you think it is about your penis that makes it so attractive and delicious to spiders? To which he said, I don't know, just unlucky, I guess.
That's the most Australian thing I've ever heard.
Right? So now the last thing he said was that he's expected to return to work soon, but he's still concerned about using on-site toilets, and that he, quote, thinks he'll be holding on for dear life, to be honest. I think he means onto his dick.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be holding for dear life onto his dick.
Well, you know what, Jordan? Way to take one for the team. Actually, sorry. Way to take two for the team.
Yeah.
Right on the penis.
And he is now labeled, quote, the unluckiest man in Australia.
Yeah. Oh, I know. He's the unluckiest man in the Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah.
You know, so aliens that we're going to first contact, they're going to meet him, be like, oh, you are the Jordan, the dick spider guy.
I wonder if his dick has, like, spider powers now.
Yes!
Spider cock?
Yeah. Oh, ew. Ooh, yeah.
Thwip.
Yeah, it's gonna grow 8 little legs on the side of it. Like,
Well, I didn't mean like that. I mean, like, he's going to put a little Spider-Man cap on it and Spider-Man.
That's already a thing.
He's going to shoot his webbing.
Look on the internet.
I know what the Spider-Man is.
I guarantee that's a thing. But no, Jordan, Your check will not be in the mail.
Yeah, and you know what? You have to look forward to a very exciting career in the porn industry as Spider-Cock.
Or he could perform at young Spider's birthday parties.
Yeah.
He could do, or Spider bachelorette parties.
Absolutely, Spider bachelorette parties.
Little...
Just a little hangle-dangle and hope he doesn't get bit.
Jim.
You know how rowdy those Spider bachelorettes can get.
They get really crazy.
Always a Spider bridesmaid, never a Spider bride.
Pour one out. All right, so I think it's time we get to, finally, our 5th week top 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how many there are.
I wasn't about to start singing a Jackson 5 song, but then I was like, oh, wait a minute, but none of their songs actually say 5 in it.
Yeah, they just say 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and it's easy.
1, 2, 3.
And I'll be there.
4, 5.
Like a redback spider on your penis.
Like a redback spider on your penis.
What if, like, do you think, like, from now on, every time he has, like, a lover, they're gonna be like, I'm gonna treat your penis like I'm a redback spider, mate. Like, good day.
Apparently a term over there for coming is slimed.
Okay.
Like
Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
So they were not a fan when they heard about Double Dare 2000 sliming people.
Like an Aussie broad would be like, you gonna slime me?
Slime me like that redback, eh?
Like, I'm gonna slime.
That is hilarious. Anyways, so our 5th week top 5 is not about getting slimed or redback spiders. But part of me kind of wants to call an audible right now and just say, like, top 5 best, like, spider cum moments. All 5 are going to be with Jordan.
I feel like there's just this one.
No, there's 2.
Two, technically.
Twice, yeah.
No, our 5th week top 5, although, however, does involve something that comes from sexual interaction. Families!
Hey!
That was a segue.
Speaking of orgies.
We are counting down the top 5 worst / dysfunctional
or our opinion,
fictional families.
Or in our opinion, just lame.
Yeah, just, they are the
Some are
worst.
cool, and some are not so cool.
So, how about you get us started off with number 5?
All right. So number 5, I'm going to say, I'm going to start off with talking about a story about a family named Brady.
Uh-oh.
Who were very, 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 very lame. All right, so the Brady Bunch, if for any of you who don't recall, were a man and his 3 sons, and a woman and her 3 daughters that meet and come together and form the Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch. And then they have Alice, their maid. So, 70s show into the 80s, right?
Yeah.
They did a movie. There's just so much wrong with the Brady Bunch. They were portrayed as this perfectly happy little family, but let's be honest. So I don't recall exactly if they were a widow and a widower. I think one of them was a widow or a widower, and the other one was like a divorcee.
I think Dad Brady just stole 3 children.
Yeah. Well, here's the first thing. So bringing them together, those families like that, and just instantly they're all a happy family. That's complete bullshit. 1. 2. And if anybody recalls from the Brady Bunch movie, the oldest daughter and the oldest son had like and there was a lot of sexual tension throughout the show.
I remember there being a line between the two of them, like, well, we're not actually brother and sister.
Yeah.
Which is like, they're trying to
There was
fuck.
a lot of sexual tension like throughout the show, but, I mean, what the hell, man? Like, no, that's your sister now, dude. The middle daughter... famously the one blaming Marsha. Well, she actually was neglected by the family, so that's a great start. Alice was the one really raising the kids, so mom and dad didn't do jack shit.
Yeah.
I don't even remember the youngest son. And didn't they have a dog too?
I don't remember if they had a dog, but I do remember in the later seasons after like the kids were too old to be cute anymore, they introduced like a little cousin.
Oh.
They came to live with them because they were like, oh shit, we lost our cuteness.
Our cute factor.
It was like 2.5 men if they would have brought on a baby.
Yeah.
And it would have been like 2.5 men and a baby.
And a baby. So yeah, the Brady Bunch, I always thought they were lame. Really, suburban white family just having a perfect time. That's bullshit.
I don't remember any of the plots from that show.
Except for, Marsha getting hit in the face with a football.
The brother and sister trying to do it.
The brother and sister
and
trying
the
to
tiki.
Oh yeah, and
yeah,
and you know what? And I think they tried.
Wait, no, that was the Batman sound. Yeah. Sorry, my bad.
Same era. No, didn't they bring like when they went to Hawaii? That was when like the brother and sister wanted to have sex. But
Was it?
I think so in the movie. But wasn't there like they surf? There was like a surfing part too.
Probably.
Aren't they from like they're like the middle of nowhere, like suburbs? They don't know how to surf.
Then again, Batman and the Joker had a surfing competition.
Yeah, but that's different. Batman's good at everything.
Yes, he is.
All right, so Brady Bunch, boo, number 5.
Okay. My number 5.
Oh, no, sorry. And their number 5, just for being a family that I thought is lame and don't.
Yeah, they're lame. But they're not necessarily the worst.
Right.
Although I think they're probably hiding some secrets. Now, my number 5 is a family that, it's just one of the too big to fail. It's the McAllister family from Home Alone.
Okay.
/ Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. So this family is just so big that they can't, obviously see the bullying that's happening in their own home.
Right.
They allow their tween-age son to have, like, a goddamn tarantula as a pet, which, whatever, but it's a tarantula.
Well, he has a tarantula and BB gun and a whole box of pornos.
Yeah, that's right. He had a lot of porn, too.
Yeah, and this was, like, the internet was about to be a thing. So.
Yeah, and his girlfriend. Woof.
Woof. Oh, man.
What was that line?
What was his name? Was Buzz. Buzz, your girlfriend. Woof.
Woof.
And his name was Buzz.
Yeah. So already, weird family. And they were really mean to their son.
Yeah.
You know, they were yelling at him the whole time.
Kevin just wanted a cheese pizza.
Yeah. Well, he was a little bit of a whiny snot.
But
he was being picked on by everybody.
Actually, the one that was really upsetting was the Uncle Frank. Uncle Frank, you little
he was,
jerk.
Yeah, he was just an asshole.
Yeah.
If you said something like that to my children, I'd kick you out of my house.
We kind of want Uncle Frank to die.
Yeah, I wanted him to be the one home alone.
Yeah.
When there was a home invasion, because he wouldn't have been cool about
Actually,
it.
hold on.
He would have just been murdered by the wet bandits.
Joe, just an aside. You know how silly that movie would have been if it was about an adult that was home alone? Like the whole plot of the movie would be them just go up, grab the phone, and say, "Hi, yeah, there's these 2 guys out here. Thanks, you sent someone over. That's
Didn't
it."
they cut the phone line?
Maybe.
Why didn't he call 911?
Well, the cops came and I think he was scared.
He was afraid of them, yeah.
Yeah, because he thought they were.
But that was because the mom called saying we left him at home.
The cops
he never called 911.
Ever.
And I think it's because they cut the phone line to the house.
They weren't that smart, dude.
Oh, but then again, they didn't think anybody was home.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. McAllister's just an idiot.
Yeah,
Kevin should have called the police.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why didn't he just call the police?
Yeah, because he did call for cheese pizza.
Yes.
That little asshole.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the whole idea is that, yeah, they're already a bad family, and then they forget their son. They forget him completely, and they don't realize he's gone until they're in Paris.
Yep.
That's a pretty extreme. Like, they didn't realize it. Did they realize it on the plane? As I recall, she's in the middle of the flight over the Atlantic.
Kevin!
When she's like, Kevin!
Yeah.
But how do you remember it then?
I don't know.
I mean, you hear these stories about people, like, forgetting their kid in the car. And I'm like, you're a liar. You're trying to kill your kid.
No.
That's what you're trying to do. In this case, it's like, they legitimately forgot their son for hours.
Well, to be fair, first things first, they made him sleep in the attic. Like, that's just messed up. I know there was a lot of people there and it was around the holidays and everything, but they sent him to, like, the attic.
Yeah.
And said, like, I don't want you to come down here. I don't want to talk to you or see your face for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Like, what if he was dying up
They
there?
treated him like a hunchback.
Yeah, like Cinderella, man.
Like Cinderella Man.
Yeah.
Other point, who goes to Paris for the Christmas holiday?
Oh, okay.
You have your whole family
Hold
together.
on. I'm gonna say there's at least the amount of people that go to Paris on family trips for Christmas is probably slightly higher than the amount of people who get bit in the dick twice by a black redneck spider. That'll be my guess.
Yeah. Although Home Alone 3, where they accidentally leave him in Australia and he gets bit in the dick by a redneck spider.
No, Home Alone 3 was a thing. Home Alone 4 was a thing.
I know.
But they weren't the story of Kevin.
Yeah, no, this one would be Kevin McAllister as an adult leaving his child.
Yeah. Now, that would be ironic, but actually, that's in production right now. There's no doubt in my mind that someone's thought of that for. Like, yeah, Kevin forgets his kid, and then he, like, over the phone on the cell phones tells him, like, this is what you...
But it crosses over with Taken,
yeah.
And then Liam Neeson's like, don't worry, Kevin, I'll help you find your son.
Home Alone would never work nowadays, though, because literally, it would just be like, while they're in the car, just, Kevin texted me, he's still in the attic, turn around, it's just, movie's over.
Hey, look, Kevin just posted to Twitter, Oh shit, he's still in the house.
Wait, guys, Kevin's been Snapchatting ordering cheese pizzas and fucking with the pizza guy like this whole time.
He's totally periscoping himself killing bandits.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Also, those guys must have had like internal bleeding and stuff.
Oh, they did. No,
He hit him in the head with bricks.
And he burnt the one guy.
Yeah.
He burnt him.
So yeah, number 5, worst family.
And you know what? And they did it twice. That's
Yes.
The worst part is that wasn't just one and done. They forgot him again.
And not only did they leave him again, but they left him in New York,
Yeah.
the biggest city in the world.
And they also did.
And he was forced to meet Donald Trump.
And shit. And they didn't punish him for using the credit card for like thousands of dollars.
Well, admittedly, you're not going to punish the kid that you accidentally left to be taken care of by a wild pigeon lady.
No.
Who had magic pigeon powers.
No. Fuck that. If any of your kids bring up a $30,000 credit card bill in New York just for over the course of like 4 days, you're gonna be pretty mad.
Yeah, but I don't think I would externalize that. Because then it's like, oh, I'm sorry I spent so much money. You remember how you left me alone in a city? You neglectful.
No, he took another plane. That was on him. In the sequel, that's Kevin's fault. They didn't forget him in the airport.
Yeah, but if you're...
He followed the wrong guy.
But he's still your child. Especially if you've already lost him once, you keep him at arm's length at all times.
But this was like a year later.
Oh, yeah, I guess memories are short.
I'm just saying, he probably ate a lot of cheese pizza in that year, pissed everybody off. Even Uncle Frank wasn't very nice anymore.
No, he wasn't very nice to begin with.
What? This family was just going on trips.
They were just the worst.
Yeah, stay home for Christmas.
You think they would never fly again after they left their son in a different country?
Yeah, oh, God. All right, number 4?
Number 4.
All right, for number 4, I'm going to go with, and this is a family that I like a lot, but they're just dysfunctional and pretty bad. I'm going to go with the Reynolds family from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
The Reynolds family.
Frank, Dee, and Dennis. So, for starters, anyone if you've never seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, watch it. It's a very dark comedy that is just great. But the problem with the Reynolds family is, one, Dennis and Dee just are so... They're all just shitty people.
Oh, yeah, they're garbage people.
So horrible people. So, Dennis has his own megalomania to deal with.
He's a sociopath.
Dee is just, I guess, hooks on to anyone that shows her any kind of attention. So those two butt heads, obviously crazy. And then you have Frank, who somehow made this fortune... Which, when they actually show him try to go back, he's horrible. He's not going to play a lawyer at all. He hides in the couch and all this. And he's a horrible father. It's basically been here, kids, have money, do whatever. They're constantly fighting. They, at this point, they just call him Frank and don't really give a shit if for him as their dad.
Well, and then it turns out that he's actually not their biological father,
dad, yeah.
but that he is Charlie's dad.
Yeah, so it's the whole...
So Charlie gets pulled into the Reynolds family.
And then, and the mom who died, but then that was a whole thing.
Yes.
Just the Reynolds family.
Didn't Frank try to bang her sister at the funeral?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just really great. But my favorite is just with the silly adventures they get into, Frank just really is just a dumpster fire of a dad. And growing up seeing that, it doesn't surprise me why Deandra and Dennis act the way they do. But yeah, the Reynolds... Number 4 for being pretty dysfunctional.
Yeah, and you can actually include in that all of the families in that show, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. But I'm going to pick specifically the Reynolds, because Mac really does love his mom and everything, despite all the nonsense.
And her being mostly nonverbal.
Yeah, and
his dad being a murderer
and Charlie's mom really means well.
Yeah, she really means well. She's the one that means the wellest, although she's on drugs.
Yeah, but she means well.
Yeah. And she's a little racist, as I recall.
Yeah, but... Okay.
Oh, she's old and white.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in her DNA.
Yeah. So my number 4 is the Griffin family.
Peter,
Lois,
the
kids. All right,
Fine.
so here's the thing. Everyone loves Family Guy. It's a great show. It's funny, and I hope it runs forever and ever.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
I disagree with everyone loves Family Guy.
Fair enough.
Family Guy's okay, but I don't think everybody likes it.
Okay, so whatever.
Oh, and they just had their season premiere.
Yes, which was funny. I think it's a great show. I love it. But the Griffin family are just the worst.
Yeah, they gotta get their shit together.
I mean, first of all, you have the dad who is borderline alcoholic, is also mentally retarded.
Do we want to say borderline? Because he did go to AA.
Yeah, he's a recovering alcoholic. No, because he still drinks.
No.
There's nothing recovered about that.
No, at the end of the episode, he had decided that he was going to go half of every six pack.
That's right. He's going to throw them out. So he's also a compulsive shopper.
Yeah.
Or just bad with money.
And waster.
He is actually mentally retarded. If you recall, they do the test.
His IQ must be low enough to be lower than a 70, I guess, or a 70.
He is constantly shaming his daughter, be it body shaming or intelligence shaming.
He's up to his eyes in credit card debt, as he mentions, gives him a lot of anxiety.
It gives him a lot of anxiety. He's always purchasing things like the Peter Copter and the Peter Zeppelin.
Actually, that part's cool.
Or is it the Peter Dirigible?
He has Peter everything.
He's constantly buying things that he shouldn't be. So he's already bad for his family.
Right.
Let alone getting into fistfights with giant chickens in the street.
Right.
How does he not end up in prison? Then you have Lois, who steals a lot of stuff.
Right.
I believe she's a philanderer.
I don't know, but
she screwed Bill Clinton. And so did Peter.
Yeah. She also comes from her background family. They're also, I forget their last name, but they're also really bad.
The Pewter Schmitz.
Pewter Schmitz, that's right, and they're really bad too.
Yes.
You have Chris, who also not very intelligent.
No, Chris is a complete idiot.
Yeah.
Even more so than his father.
He's kind-hearted, though.
He is kind-hearted, but he doesn't bathe.
No, and he has a big penis.
Yeah, he has a
That was the whole
penis.
plot line.
They have weird
spider bait. From now on, we're gonna start calling penises spider bait.
Spider bait.
He's got real big spider bait.
He's got big spider bait.
Yeah.
Of course, you have Meg, who is probably going to grow up to be a serial killer, given the amount of...
Doesn't she grow up to have a sex change? We saw that when he goes to the future.
That's one of the possible timelines.
That's true.
That's right, I forgot about that. Chris becomes a cop.
Yeah.
And Stewie is just a really weird little guy.
A lame office worker.
Yeah.
Well, speaking about Stewie...
And yeah, Stewie went from being someone hell-bent on killing his mother...
Like evil genius to...
Yeah, basically like the embodiment of some kind of Freudian concept.
Yeah.
You know, growing up to kill your parents. To now he's just kind of gay.
Yeah, he's like the gay character.
He's just gay.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, let's just make him gay.
Yeah, and every now and then he's still a genius. So like, let's just whip out his time machine for one episode.
He's genius. But as Hollywood has pointed out, all gay people are magic.
Right.
It used to be all black people are magic, and now it's all gay people are magic.
Right.
So Hollywood, stop making up weird stereotypes.
Take that, Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood.
Yeah, take that, West Hollywood.
And then you have Brian's whole thing.
He's also an alcoholic.
And a
womanizer.
And he has herpes.
And he's a crazy narcissist.
Yeah.
He's also a dog that has sex with human females.
Which is bestiality at its finest.
That was actually apparently one of the greatest points of contention between them and Fox. Fox was like, we don't know how comfortable we feel about this. And they kept saying, like, he's a human that looks like a dog.
Yeah.
That's the character.
Right.
So, yeah, they're just the worst.
They are not.
They're just bad people.
Yeah.
So there you go. Number 4.
All right.
So now, number 3.
So for number 3, I'm going to go with the Flintstones. Meet the Flintstones.
They're the modern Stone Age family.
Yeah, and the town of Bedrock. So here's the reason why I think the Flintstones are the third worst of these fictional families. For starters, even though they never show you that Fred is an alcoholic and a wife abuser, you know it. You know that he was the original prototype for Peter, for Homer Simpson, for all those. It was Fred Flintstone.
Very true.
Because Fred Flintstone, one, you know that him and his wife, Wilma, they're fighting in front of their kids because she's locking them out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't just a joke that she accidentally, they make it look like she put the things out and closes the door, but she definitely hears him to let him back in.
Well, and the other thing is he's not saying like, all right, well, let me back in. It's, Wilma!
Banging on the door, yeah.
I will murder my entire family.
Yeah, to be fair, he is very nice with Pebbles, the little baby.
Yeah.
But Didn't Pebbles sometimes get like misplaced or start crawling around?
Yeah, yeah, it would just like appear in a cabinet or something.
Negligence. Yeah, and Pebbles was like a convenience. Like he was like he liked it like a toy. Wilma was a gossip, and she just would spread rumors about the whole. Her and Betty would just hang out and just chat up the whole neighborhood.
Also, how's he affording that rock necklace on a on a quarry worker's
salary?
He stole that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Or he's doing some dealing on the side.
And he was a member of that weird cult, the moose cult,
the water buffalo.
The water buffaloes. Like that's a cult, man. That was not a gentleman's club. So I don't know. Fred. It's really Fred is the one who kind of wrecks it for the family, which I know I'm not trying to give the man the control, but this is from a different era. This show, well, it's from the Stone Age, I guess.
But good point.
No, the 60s.
He probably found his wife by clubbing her in the head.
Yeah, no, he absolutely did. That's the thing is like we ignore the fact that these are like ancient man. He definitely probably like raped Wilma the first time they met. Like it's not a good guy.
She was probably a child bride.
Yes, or he traded her for some like
he paid the bride price.
Yeah, he paid the bride price, saber-tooth claws or something.
Okay, and the other thing that I think we're kind of glossing over is the animal abuse.
Yeah.
Now that's everyone in that entire society.
Right.
But think about it. All of their appliances and all of their things, not only are they animals that are being forced to do a task, they are completely 100% sentient, self-aware animals.
But also
they always turn to the camera and say, "It's a living."
Yeah, or like, I thought I was riveting.
They're slaves.
Yeah.
They're slaves that are being forced to do weird stuff.
Well, here's the thing, and the one that isn't, Dino, he sometimes is not nice to.
Oh,
his fucking dog.
And here's the thing that's even worse about that. The first season of the show, but back when it was an adult cartoon,
couldn't Dino talk?
Cartoon, Dino could talk. That means that Fred either beat him retarded. I keep using that word.
Yeah, that's harsh.
Man. He either beat him stupidly.
No. But remember, he beat him. He destroyed his mental functions. He gave him traumatic brain injury. He didn't make him retarded, as you would say. No, he just gave him traumatic brain injury.
So he either did that, or he has imposed a rule on his slave that he's not allowed to speak in the house.
No, dude, I know what
he's only allowed to bark like a dog.
He used another one of those animals to give Dino a lobotomy. And then, to make an example out of him, but also to traumatize that other animal and show him, like, this is my house. I am the man.
I imagine he probably would have just gotten, like, a bird with a really long beak to do it. And the beak would, he would have lobotomized him and turned to the camera like, it's a living.
No.
You're a lobotomosaurus Rex.
Or he'd look over and be like, well, I guess you could say he got smarts. Or like something like some brain pun.
Yeah, so I think the animal abuse thing really puts that one over the top.
Yeah, we're probably looking into it more than we need to, but yeah, so the Flintstones, not nice people.
Not at all.
They're not a good people.
Okay, so my number 3 is a couple, but a family, from a show that you and I both love, The Blacklist.
Yes.
This is the Keene family,
the
main family.
With our main man, just James Spader, is just...
Right, but he's tangentially connected to the Keene family.
Right. But I just want to shout out the fact that he's what makes that show.
Oh yeah, fantastic. Although I gotta say, all of the acting in that show is really good.
Now, for a long time there, we thought he might be the dad, but
yeah. Well, more light has come out. I know you haven't seen all the way through season 3.
I have not watched season 3.
And the reveal at the end of season 3 is that you meet Elizabeth's biological father, and that Red and him were both in love with the same woman.
Right. And
Red has always kind of felt that maybe she is his daughter, but that the other guy knows for sure that she's his. That kind of thing. But that's beside the point. The fact is, you have a woman who has been raised not knowing who she really is at all, anything about her past.
Mm-hmm.
And then she meets this wonderful guy, and they fall in love, and it's wonderful. And it turns out he's a spy who has been hired to, at first, just watch her, but then eventually falls in love with her, and is living with her with all this secret shit under the floor, a bug-out bag, in case he has to kill her and run away.
Right.
So her entire life is a lie. She doesn't know who her actual parents are. The only guy that she knows might be her dad is an ex-con who gets smothered in his hotel or in his hospital bed by the guy that is her now father figure. It's just a fucked up mess.
Yeah, there's a lot of loose ends there.
Turns out that her mom was a KGB agent and that she wasn't even born in the U.S.
She's not even a citizen.
She was born in Moscow during the Cold War. Like, there's a lot to unpack here. So, just the fact that they are so clearly dysfunctional. Frankly, in season 3, she has a daughter, and in order so that she can live with her daughter away from all this, she has to fake her own death. And actually, that was a really good pull by the show, because they honestly made you think for like 3 episodes that they killed off the main character of the show. Which I was like, the chrome-plated balls on this show. Because even Red was shocked by it, and Red is never shocked by anything. He's the one always pulling the strings.
And then they gave in.
And, well, it turns out it was a bigger deal.
Yeah.
And Mr. Kaplan helped him out. And Mr. Kaplan betrayed Red to do it. And then the second episode of season 4, Red shoots Mr. Kaplan in the head.
Spoiler.
I love this show. We spoil everything.
They do. We really, truly do.
Hope you watched it.
We definitely have spoiled the Flintstones for anyone ever watching the Flintstones again.
But in any case, just for all the different connections and all the lies and the secrets, the show's just... Oh, and let's not forget the fact that her ex-husband, who eventually she remarries, but once she learns that he's a spy, she keeps him locked in a ship and starves him for like 4 months.
Yeah.
She tortures him.
Yeah.
And then he still comes back to her. That is so fucked up.
Oh, and you know what? No, abusive relationships, man, they're toxic.
He abused her, she abused him.
And
and now they're living happily ever after.
They're codependent.
But not really. So yeah, there you go. Moving on to number 2.
Alright, so number 2 is one of my favorite fictional families. It really, truly are. But oh my god, are they messed up. I'm talking, of course, about the Skywalkers.
Oh, yeah.
So let's digest this just for a minute. So of course we'll start with the earliest Skywalker that we know. The Shmi Skywalker. Shmi. So
like Mr. Shmi.
Yeah. Shmi Skywalker. So she was a slave who then was bought by a new slave master who fell in love with her, who gave her freedom, but married her, and so she never really got her freedom. Yeah. So that's already going on there. They have Anakin through Immaculate Conception. Which, do we ever figure out, was that the Emperor who did that? Was that implied that it was the Emperor who made Anakin?
No, it was Darth Plagueis.
Oh.
That Darth Plagueis, which was his master, had the power to manipulate
to create life.
midichlorians.
Yeah. Now was that basically like really bad subtext saying like I know who your father really is?
Yeah. I mean the moment is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
It's where he's sitting. He's like, has anyone ever told you the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
But he says like it's the tragedy of Darth.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, he's trying to endear himself to Anakin.
I always used to think that was him trying to tell him like I'm the Sith master.
Yeah, well,
because he taught me everything, so I did it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean that's possible too, I suppose.
So Anakin is Immaculate Conception. Anakin falls in love with Padme, and that's kind of an abusive relationship. Padme is significantly older than Anakin, and that right there is kind of a weird dynamic between the two of them. Then they have kids. And Darth Vader doesn't know he has kids, so there's kids grow up without knowing their parent. They live in other households. You have Luke and Leia making out, so there's some incest in there. You have Luke wanting to kill his dad, but then loving his dad, and then Darth Vader chopping off his son's hand. That's problematic.
Yeah, healthy father-son
things. They're playing catch with each other's hands. Playing catch with each other's hands.
Yeah.
I guess the opposite of playing catch. They're chopping off each other's hands, making it impossible to catch anything.
Absolutely. Catch this.
Yeah, but then you also have more on another end. So Luke grows up with his uncle and his aunt. And by the way, he's not that shook up when they get burned. Like, totally burned. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's unhappy about it.
Yeah.
But, come on. You saw your family just literally melted.
Yeah.
And, okay, I'm going to go across the galaxy on an adventure. And then the thing is I never got this. Why does he never bring that up again? Like, why does he not ever be like when he's talking to Darth Vader, like, you let Aunt Beru and I'll go and get murdered? Like, they raised him.
Because they were just a plot device.
Yeah,
they didn't really matter.
You know, like, he never really showed any, like, catharsis for that after that.
For more analysis into this, look all the way back to our Star Wars special, where we talked about how it would have been better if they were actually in the first movie.
Yeah, that was like episode 2 or something.
Yeah.
Well, our episode 2 was much better than Star Wars episode 2. But yeah, so the Skywalker family, as much as I love them, there's so many things going on that have made it a compelling, now 7 films, because now we're wondering, we have, like, oh, so then Kylo Ren is a member of the family now.
Yeah.
And is Rey, we don't know. We're trying to
figure Kylo Ren murders his dad.
He killed his dad on Solo, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff going on.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I don't know. If you don't know, that's another one. If you haven't seen Star Wars, like, get the hell out of here. But it's just, man, they're really messed up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, that's my number 2.
Okay, so my number two is a bit of a doozy. And just to get through this, have you watched Arrested Development?
Sometimes.
Okay. Just to get through this for the people that don't know, and so that I can keep all this straight, I'm taking this directly from the Wikipedia page for the show. All right? So the show centers around Michael Bluth. He's like the straight man to the entire family.
Jason Bateman's character.
Yeah, Jason Bateman. He's the only, like, him and his son are the only good ones out of the bunch, really.
Right.
He strives to do the right thing and keep his family together despite their materialism, selfishness, and manipulative natures. He is a widowed single father. He has a son played by Michael Cera, who is George Michael, which is funny on its own, I guess. He's also kind of decent, but he's always trying to live up to the pressure, and he's in love with his cousin, which he doesn't know is his cousin when he first kind of falls for her, and then when it turns out that he's mortified, but he's still kind of in love with her.
Terrific.
His dad is George Bluth Sr., who's played by Jeffrey Tambor. He goes to considerable lengths to manipulate and control his family. His mother, Lucille, who's played by Jessica Walter, is super manipulative and completely evil and hypocritical to every member of the family. She's a perpetual drunk, and she has a really strange connection with the youngest son, Buster. Like, they go to this father-daughter dance, or mother-son dance thing, which is supposed to be for, like, mothers with their little boys.
Yeah, those make me feel
But they, like, still go to it.
Oh, no, those, even the daddy-daughter dances and stuff, they make me really uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, in any case, because of her over-mothering and weird connection to him, he's socially inept and prone to panic attacks.
Right.
Michael's older brother is George Oscar Bluth, called Job as a kind of acronym, played by Will Arnett. He is an unsuccessful professional magician whose business and personal schemes usually fail or become tiresome and are quickly abandoned. And then there is his twin sister, Lindsay, who's played by Portia de Rossi, and she is also spoiled and materialistic, whatever. And then there is her husband, who's played by David Cross, Tobias. He's the funniest, in my opinion, because he's a discredited psychiatrist turned aspiring actor, and he is a self-diagnosed never nude, which is a disorder which is basically the opposite of being a nudist. He can't ever take his clothes off, even, like, when he's alone, because of his weird, like, he feels naked, I guess, which
right.
He is, but it messes with his entire brain. And then there's the daughter, Maybe is what they call her. She's the rebellious teen who is the cousin that Michael Cera's character is in love with.
Right.
So this family is a cavalcade of what the fuck is going on. And the show basically it follows their many various exploits. And the fact that the father of the family has to flee the country and whatnot because he's being investigated by the FBI for white-collar crime and stuff like that. So, great show if you've never checked it out, and it's just fun to watch the mess.
Yeah, it sounds like the family's got a lot of difficult, clashing personalities.
Absolutely. So, let's talk about your number one.
All right, so there's a lot of people who are going to, when they hear my number one, are going to think, wait a minute, you think that is the worst fictional family? There's no way, blah, 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 blah. They'll cite history, they'll cite evidence, they'll cite Emmys, all this stuff. But I'm talking my number one, I think, worst fictional family in terms of, one, I just don't like them at all. But two, their secret problems within the family are the Simpsons.
Oh, yep.
Those jaundiced assholes.
Yeah.
All right, so let me...
Which did have a crossover with Family Guy.
It did. So let me talk about... I'll just break down for a second why the Simpsons, I just think, are the worst. For starters, let's go back to the animal abuse. How many times have they lost that dog? Their cat just disappeared. They had a cat early on.
Yeah.
No longer... There's no more cat.
I don't even remember the cat's name.
It didn't have a name, dude. The dog's just gone. So that's right there. Animal abuse, neglect, not good. Then let's move up a little bit, go to the baby. Before we get to, so Maggie, the baby. How often does Maggie do things and they have no clue about what's going on with Maggie? Far too often for an infant to have a little baby girl doing any of these things. So right there, another dilemma. They're neglecting their dogs, neglecting their baby. So let's move up again. You have a daughter who is a genius.
Oh, yeah.
She's artistically inclined. Yeah, she's truly not even a savant. She's just good at everything. She's a Renaissance girl.
Isn't savant mean you're just really good at stuff?
Savant means from how I understand it, it means like you're really good at one thing.
Okay.
Like you're like a prodigy at like one thing, but the other stuff is like you didn't know.
Yeah.
But the thing about Lisa is that she's so good at everything she attempts to do, but they don't give a shit, like, at all.
Because she's always going to be playing second fiddle to Bart.
Well, they don't...
Gets all the attention for being bad.
But before we even talk about Bart, because you know where I'm going with Bart.
Oh, absolutely.
Lisa should be the one everyone's proud of and helping and cherishing and helping her get through her life and motivating her, rewarding her. Nah, man, like they don't care about Lisa at all.
And she's sad all the time.
She doesn't. She shows optimism and pride and all these things and being, like the liberal character and all that stuff. But no, truthfully, she's definitely clinically depressed.
Absolutely.
So let's move on to... Before we get to Bart and Homer, let's move on to Marge.
Okay.
So for starters, Marge, you meet Marge and you meet Marge's sisters. Marge's sisters are those twins that are definitely going to get emphysema if they haven't already. They have their whole host of like, well, we know you shouldn't have married that man, so they're trash talking.
But they're just shitty people.
But we don't know a lot about them. They live with each other and they just like they don't.
Yeah, I mean, if you watch the whole show, it gets more into who they are as people. But...
Yeah, well, I'm not going to watch the whole show.
Yeah, right.
Way too much of that to look up. But, so I'm not a fan of them. So you have Marge, who, her and Homer didn't they get a divorce and they get back together or something?
Yeah, she's constantly, pushing him to be better.
Homie.
And then he always fails, but she just enables him by not actually... standing her ground.
But Marge also, I mean, we're speaking generally here, so if you think of like, oh, well, in this exact episode, you're wrong or whatever, then thank you for listening to the show and nitpicking. But I feel like in general, Marge is played up as the trophy wife kind of character.
Yeah.
As opposed to being, doing her own thing and having her own business or whatever, or going out and doing whatever. She's kind of just the wife for Homer, a soundboard to bounce off of.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm waiting for the goofy woman character, It's always the goofy drunk dad. I want the goofy drunk mom.
Yeah.
But Marge just can't do that. But she puts up with the bullshit. So let's move now to Bart and Homer.
Yes.
How many times has Homer attempted to murder his son?
Yeah, he strangles him a lot.
I'm going to say once per episode. They've probably cut down on that a little bit now in these newer seasons, which I have not watched at all. But
yeah, I feel like that was an older part of the show.
Trope, yeah.
But even then, this show's not like from the 50s.
It was
where it was okay to hit your kids.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't think it was ever okay to strangle your children.
Yeah, it was unusually high amount of child strangling.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I get it. Bart is a sociopath. Bart he is fueled by disorder, and chaos.
He is an agent of chaos.
Yes, he isn't a Joker in the making. But except he's not cool. Like Bart was always played up to be like the cool character. I don't think he's very cool. Like when he encounters the bullies, he usually doesn't succeed super well with the bullies. Yeah. And he's really mean to his friends, so that's kind of off-putting. But Homer has his own slew of problems, like we mentioned before, being an alcoholic and like kind of a deadbeat and an idiot, all that kind of stuff that Peter Griffin stole.
Being lax at his job where he works at a nuclear power
That's what
plant.
I was gonna say. He literally could be the catalyst that causes the destruction of the town.
Well, hell, the opening credits is him losing like a rod of plutonium and it ending up in his baby's diaper.
Yeah, it's just a horrible, horrible person. And as a family, you don't ever see them like loving and happy with one. I'm sure there's episodes in the show where you've seen it. Yeah, obviously. But when you think of The Simpsons, you don't think of a happy, wonderful family that love each other. You think of Bart being strangled.
The only time they spend together is sitting in front of the TV, eating off of like TV trays.
Watching a program that literally is just a screen that says Matt Groening or whatever.
No, it's Crazy Violence of Itchy and Scratchy.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And Krusty the
clown.
Weird clown.
Yeah. And so the final member of the family is the grandpa, Homer's dad.
And the baby, you forgot.
I talked about Maggie.
Oh, did you?
I started with Maggie.
Sorry, I missed it.
You zoned out. No, is the grandpa, and we talk about the grandpa, Homer's dad, they don't care about him at all. Like, they treat him like garbage, too.
Yep, he is a nuisance that Homer would be better off without in his mind.
Yeah, so The Simpsons are my number one, just for seeing them and being like, wow, you guys have endured for so long. You're an iconic family. But holy shit, you suck.
And you think, like, if this is what the majority of middle America is like, then we are off to a bad start.
Yeah.
Okay, well, for my number one, I'm going to change gears just a little bit, talk about a family that doesn't get enough media attention, in my opinion, when it comes to fictional families. It's the mutant trailer monsters from The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh, no. Oh, they're pretty bad.
They are a fictional family.
They certainly
and
are.
They're very different than the families we've talked about. But the family is the leader, Papa Jupiter, his eldest son, Lizard, and then he also has Pluto and Goggle and Beast. There's just they don't have names. They're just like they're all X-Men apparently.
Yeah, pretty much. They're superheroes.
But I mean, let's take a look at this family. First of all, they're monsters. They are like mutated by radiation.
Yeah.
Now I'm talking about the 2006 movie, which is a remake of the 1977 Wes Craven film, which I never saw the original.
The original's good.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Are they also mutant monsters
Yep.
that live in? Okay.
Yep.
Well, at least in the 2006 version, we have they forcibly rape and murder and eat. They're cannibals.
Yep.
The one drinks breast milk from the mother.
Yeah, they're really not good
while
people.
having a gun to her head, and then they murder her.
Yeah.
Like, as far as families go, I'd say they're probably the worst. Although, you know what? They work together as a family unit pretty well.
Yeah. They're like putting the spike strips and like they know what they want to do.
They work together as a family, but it's hard to, value your, or what's the word I'm looking for? To bestow upon your children good moral values when your moral values involve raping, murdering, and eating people.
Right.
So, for me, I was going to actually put it somewhere in the middle of the list, just to be funny, and say that, like, the Bluths are actually worse. But I can't actually in good conscience say that, because they don't murder, rape, and eat people, which are three of the worst things you can do.
Yeah.
Actually, they're the three worst things you can do.
Yeah. This family... So I've only seen the films, both the original and the 2006 one. I've only seen it once, but it's one of those movies that while watching, you're just very uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
And and you're rooting for them to, that they're gonna win. Like
I didn't. I thought it was going to be one of those horror movies that ends with the whole family being murdered.
Yeah.
I did not expect the guy to get his baby back at the end.
Yeah.
Which, you know what, is good. But they were going to eat that baby.
They were.
They wanted to kill everybody and eat that baby.
Yes.
And anyone that would eat a baby is the worst on my list.
But I'm saying that the movie, you remember at the end, they're still being watched. Like the mutants are still.
Yeah.
Like, so it's so funny. You're right. I never thought of that. That you call them like mutants, like X-Men.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like in the end, didn't they make sequels to The Hills Have Eyes?
I want to say yes, but I didn't see them.
I didn't see them either. But
the Hills Still Have Eyes.
I feel like I feel like the mutants are like going to carry on and continue their mutant legacy, and they're just not good.
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah.
So there you have it. A weird turn for the last one.
Yeah.
But, The Simpsons and the mutant family from The Hills Have Eyes are our number one picks.
And if you look at The Simpsons, they're mutants too.
And you know what? Maybe it was Homer's radioactive, maybe The Hills Have Eyes takes place in the ashes of Springfield after the nuclear reactor's gone up. Maybe Pluto, Papa Jupiter is just Homer Simpson.
Right. Here's my question also, just to go back to The Simpsons really quick. Have we ever discovered why Lisa, Maggie, and Bart's heads are shaped that way? It's not hair, because that show, in its continuity, will tell you, Homer is bald, has some hair, Marge clearly has hair.
I'm assuming it's because of the nuclear radiation. I mean, they have fish with 3 eyes and stuff.
Yeah. And most characters in that show, as far as I can,
have regular shaped heads.
Regular heads with hair.
It's probably because his semen's all weird from working around radiation all the time.
In fact, the only one that doesn't have a regular shaped head besides the kiddos and is the grandpa. He's got like one of those, he's got like a what are those things you eat, those snacks? Bugle. He's got a bugle for a head.
Oh yeah, he's kind of got that
the coney
microcephaly sort of thing going on.
But even he has regular hairs on it. But he has regular hairs on it.
Yeah. So there you have it. Those are the worst families in fiction by our lists.
So if you feel like there's ones we should have mentioned, or you have your own list of families that you think are just horrible, feel free to let us know.
Yeah, hit us up on Twitter
or Facebook. You can listen to the show on... did you have anything else to add?
No. That's pretty much it. They rape, murder, and eat people.
Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of like So that's our show, folks.
Strong in the Geek. We don't rape, murder, or eat people.
Humans. Yeah. Hold on. We don't rape or murder anything. We don't eat people. That's a clarifier. So one thing that I'm sure to a final thought. We know this week there was also news from the Wonder Woman creative staff that yes, Wonder Woman is not exclusively a straight character, which that she's a member of the LGBT community in some capacity. And so some people were saying that she's queer, and other people have said before that she's a lesbian, but I don't want to put labels on anything, it's just confirmed that
she's also fictional.
Yeah.
So
but in our hearts she's not. She's real. But we know about that, and we're saving that, actually, because join us next week when we'll be talking about kind of the good and the bad in terms of what people, comments and our thoughts and opinions on when we take characters who are traditionally thought of in one way and change things about them.
Yeah. So you have a character that's traditionally one race, gender, nationality, creed, whatever, and then for a film adaptation or just a different version of a comic book or whatever, they're changed drastically from their original version, and the pros and cons of doing that.
Right, and whether we like it or dislike it or whatever. Right. So that'll be our show next week. Thank you for listening. Be sure to follow us on SoundCloud, on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube.
Comment, subscribe, again.
Facebook, Twitter, any other thing? You can email us.
The dick pics.
Dick pics.
Especially
spider dick pics.
Yeah, you know what? Give us spider dick pics. Take a picture of your dick next to a spider and send it to us, and we'll put it in a little envelope, and we'll keep them on file in case we need them to blackmail you later.
No. If you send me a spider dick photo, any of you, I will put it on the refrigerator. I will put it on the refrigerator for at least 15 minutes.
I will send you $1.
Yeah. No, wait a minute. That's you paying for pornography.
Oh, shit.
2016. We don't do that. All right. So thank you. And I think that's our show. So you all stay strong.
And stay geek.
Chicka chicka.
Oh, yeah. Hey, guys. It's me, P. Eater Burger, coming here to bite a big old dick.
Yep.